Hey there, Will Marshall here, back with another video today. This one's slightly different, so I'm not going to be reviewing a product here or unboxing anything. I'm going to be looking at an old MacBook Pro. So I've been a Mac user for quite a while. My first Mac was an iBook G4, and I've always loved macOS. I think it's a great OS. I think it's really slick. I love some of the software that Apple do, especially things like GarageBand for music production. But a lot of people are not going to be able to experience this this macOS on their system because of the Mac hardware being, as we know, quite expensive. So yeah, is there another way of doing this? And then, of course, there is the second-hand market. So this got me thinking about making a video as to how you could say, how someone who's interested in getting into the Mac ecosystem could do so with a second-hand device and a few simple upgrades. And those are what I want to go through now. So the MacBook Pro I've got here is, I say, a mid-2012 variant. So you can pick one of these up on eBay second-hand market for actually pretty reasonable prices now. You can get them for between £300 and £400. I saw on there. You know, that's, I think, a really great entry level for someone who kind of wants to get into and involved with macOS in 2020, but doesn't want to pay the premium price. So with this, you have a lot of advantages in terms of like the I/O on the device. You have, you know, two full-size USB-A ports. This has a FireWire 800 port, that old sort of proprietary connector that Apple had. Full-size SD card slot, and, you know, a display port, and of course a disk drive. So the software support for this Mac is actually pretty good. So one of the things that Apple do is they support their software with patches for a number of years. This 2012 MacBook Pro actually can be upgraded to macOS Catalina. It's not the most recent one, it's the one before. It was released last year. That will be receiving security patches and updates for many years to come, probably 3 to 4 years to come. I'm not exactly sure of the exact date. Okay, right, so the two main upgrades I'm going to do on this machine are as follows. The first one is to the RAM. So the RAM is, for anyone who doesn't know, is random access memory. This is like rapid access memory inside the computer, which the OS makes use of to store in its things like applications and OS components when they load. So basically, when it comes to switching between things, it's pretty snappy. There is often a saying that, you know, more RAM is obviously better, and the more RAM you have, the more random access storage you have to be able to load apps into quickly. 2 sticks of 8 gigabytes of RAM these days will cost you about £50. So it's not a huge additional cost on top of your second-hand Mac. Okay, so the second and probably the biggest, arguably the biggest change you can make to these things is to improve or to replace the hard disk drive. So a hard disk drive is, you know, as it says in the name, it's a spinning disk drive. You have a spinning disk platter coated in some magnetic covering, which is then written to by a little magnetic head which moves up and down like a little actuator arm. So think about an old-style record player, a vinyl player. That's kind of what's going on down there when it's writing and reading data from the disk. Now, as it's a spinning disk, it's spinning. You know, there's a moving part in there. There's a component in there, a reliability component in there, which is obviously going to degrade with age as well. But also just the speed of spinning up the disk. It doesn't, you know, things just become older and, you know, less able to do this quickly as they were when they were new. So yeah, the spinning disk drive does get tired, and so you can replace this with what's called a solid state disk drive, or a SSD for short. This is essentially the same thing. It's the same thing. It holds memory, it holds information in storage and long-term storage, but it stores it all in flash memory. So flash memory is kind of an integrated circuit style memory. It's a lot faster, up to 100 times faster read and write speeds that you would get compared to a hard disk drive. Sorry, more reliable. There's no moving parts in there. A lot lighter as well, and also they're more power efficient because you haven't got to sort of spin up these moving parts to get it to, you know, to get it to read and write. So I think that's kind of the main thing you can do to improve one of these machines, is to replace its hard disk drive. I've done it before on a number of my machines. I've done it before on iMac. I've done it before on my own MacBook Pro from 2009. I replaced the hard drive in that with an SSD, and it really does improve the performance to the point where it's not going to be as fast as a as a £900 MacBook Air from 2020, but it'll be pretty good, and it'll be certainly usable, and it won't be infuriating to use. Like, you're not going to be waiting for like half a minute to open apps, right? It'll be really usable, and it'll kind of make the machine, you know, give the machine this new lease of life that you haven't had before. So to upgrade a hard drive, you're looking at about, it depends very much on the size of the drive you want to replace it with. So I bought a 512 gig hard drive for this device. That cost me around £50 again, £50 to £60. It depends on how much storage you want. If you can do with only 256 gigabytes, then you can go for a cheaper drive, you know, between £30 and £40 I've seen. And then if you really want to max it out, you can get sort of 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte drive, which are very expensive. Okay, right. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to do these upgrades now. They're fairly simple upgrades. I think almost anyone could do these with a little bit of help and guidance. Hopefully my video will be able to help you do this if you're keen on doing it yourself. Really, the only things you need to do, you need for this are a couple of tools. You need to have a small size crosshead Phillips screwdriver, a Torque T7 torque screwdriver, which is this head's got a little star shape. Potentially you need some sort of like tweezers and stuff to maybe manipulate around inside the device. And the final thing you're going to need is an install disk for macOS. So when I say disk, I mean an install sort of USB drive for macOS. Actually, that'll work just as fine. So I'm not going to go through the process of actually how you build one of these. There's plenty of guides on how to get a macOS bootable USB drive for your computer. I'll post some links below in the description if anyone's interested in doing that. But essentially what you want to do, really, I would recommend starting from a really kind of like base clean level. I'd upgrade the computer to the most recent version of the OS you can get. So this guy can upgrade to macOS Catalina, as I said before. You haven't got to do that. You can clean the thing down and you can do a restore on the device itself. I think as long as you kind of got a reset Mac with, you know, the latest OS on, you're kind of good to go with the upgrade. So here we go. Okay, right, so now we've cleaned the inside of the MacBook Pro a bit, got rid of some of the dust, I kind of wiped over the battery and stuff, and then we got to kind of replace two key parts in this little tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at replacing the RAM, which is that here. So there are two RAM slots. At the moment, this one carries 2 times 4 gigabytes of RAM. I bought 2 times 8 gigs to upgrade this to 16 gigabytes of RAM. And so to get this out, all you need to do is just to tease open the little latches either side and then just pull away, and then the RAM just comes out like that. Pretty simple. It's a really straightforward upgrade, that one. And then yeah, it's just ready to put in the new RAM. So two slots here of RAM, you can see. Oh, look at the little dog there. Thanks for selecting us. Isn't that nice? So there we go, there you have it, the 2 slots of RAM. So there is no order for this to go in. All we do here is make sure we insert them back in the same way they came out. And then we can, so remember to push the bottom one in first. The bottom one goes down there like that. And you just keep pushing it down until it clicks into place. That's that one. And then if we turn it over, then the top one goes in. Make sure it seats correctly. There you go. Push down, and that's it. So there you go. That is as easy as it is for the RAM upgrade. Now I'm just going to turn this thing on, double check that the RAM has seated properly and is registering as 16 gig, and then we'll crack on with the hard drive. Okay, right, so that was all successful. I've just checked there that the RAM is seated correctly, and I'm getting 16 gigabytes of RAM in the OS, which is good. That's the first job done. Now, the next job, which is I guess the final bit, is to replace
the hard drive. Here it is. I'm going to sit in there like that. I think the starting point is to take, I think so we need to make a start by just unattaching these bits here. This is kind of the caddy that holds it in. Important not to mistake that with the screws on the hard drive itself. And that is that, you know, there you go. Very straightforward. It's just that one little bit of plastic that had to come out on the top to lift it out, up and out. And there we go. That's the that's it. So to get this back on me, there's only a couple of things we need to do. And one of them is to take out these little Torx screws here on each side and then put them back into our new hard drive, because that's what's going to sit in. So I think it's a T7, if my memory serves me correct. T7 seems to fit pretty well, so T7 screwdriver. That's kind of that's the little caddy in place. So now all we need to do is very carefully slot the connector in. It's quite easy. Santa connector is there. Just be careful not to bend the wires. And then just, sort of feed it down in to the thing. You can see there it sits on those two little orange, there's a couple of little orange mounts in there, which we can see. And then the final thing to do is to put the this little holding point back. Go back to our Phillips head screwdriver to do that. Just tighten that in, holds the drive in place. I've also in the past removed the CD drive here, DVD CD drive on some of my machines, and replaced that with a bigger storage drive. So if you wanted to go with a smaller solid state drive, because cost implications, etc., and then really max out a really big solid hard drive there, for storing media and stuff, then you could do that. So that's kind of it, really. That's the upgrade done. If you were to replace the battery, which is something that we might want to do at some point with this, because it is quite an old machine, the battery is not great. So I made a note of the battery components. Really, it is a very simple case of just unscrewing, the mounting points here. You can see this one's actually cracked where this one is in here, and then just detaching here this cable onto the motherboard, and then that's kind of it. That's all that needs to be done to replace the battery as well. So, but yeah, I'm going to just close this back up, and we should be up and running with the new SSD in place.
Okay, right, so then now you've seen it, I've done the upgrades to it, here it is, it's all done, it's all completely refreshed with its new RAM and its new hard drive, solid state drive, sorry. Now, what are the improvements really? What can we say about it? So I did some comparisons quickly between before and after sort of comparisons of the device. And so before, booting the device took up to 1.5 minutes for this, with its hard drive. That was reduced down to 45 seconds. With the SSD and the RAM upgrades, things like certain apps loading are also quicker. It's not as dramatic as that. But sometimes you're getting up to 2 times quicker app opening speeds with Safari for iPhoto or Photos these days. iTunes And then some third-party apps, Spotify and Chrome, I also saw kind of relatively big improvements there, over sort of twice the speed increase in Chrome and Spotify when you're opening those up. So that's all good. So basically, it just makes the device a little bit slicker. You're able to make use of it, give it a new lease of life, and hopefully experience macOS for the first time, or make use of an old machine if you're someone who's got one of these lying around and wants to make use of it for another member of the family. It's all it's a really easy upgrade. I hope I've shown that, and yeah, it's a bit of fun to do. And I think it'll really benefit a lot of people being able to do that. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please do give a like to it if you enjoy what you saw, and a sub to the channel would be awesome. It's great for someone like me who's a young YouTuber just starting out, getting some support from everyone who follows my channel. That'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. So with that, I just want to say, as always, please do stay safe, look after yourselves in these strange and uncertain times, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Cheers.